Good evening. Thank you so much for being here today. Today is February the 15th, 2022. Our thought for today is everyone has the power for greatness, not for fame, but greatness, because greatness is determined by service. That's by Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. I want to go ahead and officially call this meeting to order tonight. Again, thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for caring enough about your community to be here. Tonight I'm going to ask if Commissioner Edwards would lead us in our invocation tonight, and Commissioner Calvin would lead us in our pledge.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If everyone would bow their heads, please. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for another day. We thank you for another wonderful time to come together and do the business of the county. Lord, we pray that you watch over this meeting. Give us, once again, discernment, wisdom, and judgment. And we ask all these things in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Tonight we have, tonight I'm gonna get, for the record, Commissioner Mason and Commissioner Sanders is, they on through Zoom tonight. I'm gonna get them to state their location for the record, please. Commissioner Mason, if you would, state your location, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm actually in Washington, D.C. at a NACO legislation conference.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Sanders, if you would you please state your location, please?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. I'm also at the NACO convention here in Washington, D.C.
Thank you so much. Guys, I seek a motion tonight that we approve the agenda.
Second.
It's been motioned by Commissioner Edwards and second by Commissioner Cowan. Any discussions? All in favor? Commissioner Mason?
Aye.
Commissioner Sanders? Thank you. It passes 5-0. Thanks. Next we have on the agenda citizens comments. This is an opportunity that we allow citizens to make comments about agenda topics only. Agenda topics only. You have 3 minutes to do so. You may come at this time. Please state your name and your address for the record, please. Agenda topics only. Thank you. Next, we have the chairman's report. I'm excited tonight. We have a couple of things in the chairman's report. Our Keep Newton Beautiful department, they have been awarded tonight. They did such a wonderful job. The Keep Georgia Beautiful Foundation is here with them, I believe. It's here with them. Okay, well, the board, if y'all would come on up and tell us a little bit about what you guys have been recognized for, and we thank you guys for all the hard work that you do to make sure that we try to keep this place clean and beautiful. Thank you so much. Ms. Laura.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The Keep Georgia Beautiful Foundation sent a letter to you
Yes,
and
ma'am.
to some other officials here, just to let you know about the work that we've been doing over the last year, which I know you're already familiar with a lot of it. They just wanted to recognize us for doing a good job, especially during the pandemic, when so much of the outreach that we normally do, we were not able to do, but we were able to continue with our work through the Bicentennial Committee and the cleanups that we did for the Bicentennial. We've also done some other projects with a video game, a Detective Seymour Green video game that we worked with some students at the Career Academy to develop. And we're also working with Mr. James Tucker on some videos. So we're trying to get some virtual content out to the school system so we can continue to reach them with our message of keeping our community clean. And these ladies that are here with me, this is Margaret and Eunice and Kim and Jenny and Erin. And Erin, Jenny, and Kim are on our board. And Eunice and Margaret are part of our puppet team.
Okay.
So they help us do the puppet shows, and we're working on practicing our puppet shows to get those filmed so that we can deliver that to the school system, even though we can't come in person. So I especially want to recognize Miss Jenny Butcher. She is the chairman of our board, and we cannot do any of our work without great volunteers. So we really appreciate all our volunteers and the support of the board and the Water Resources Department, Solid Waste Department, and all of our community and all the people who come out and participate in our cleanups and help us with programs and activities throughout the year. So thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, we know that you guys have been extremely busy trying to help keep this place clean, and I know you put a lot of hours in, and we're so thankful as a board. We're so thankful for the hard work that you guys do. Thank you so much for serving this community. I know it's a hard job, but we never hear any complaints out of y'all. Y'all just serve. So thank you so much. I have a certificate here. If y'all don't mind, I come around. I want to give to you guys. Thank y'all so much. Next in the chairman's report, we're going to get our audit update from Maude and Jenkins. Guys, if you would, please come on down. Thank you for being here tonight.
Well, good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you all for having me here today. Really do appreciate it. I think the audit this year went very well. Let me just say something on that before I even get into the numbers. We've been doing your audit now, I think this is our 5th time. And I think about what we came into 5 years ago. There was a lot of issues. There were a lot of financial situations. You had some deficits. You had a lot of things happening. You had some new people in your finance department that were just kind of getting their hands and feet and arms all around it all. You've seen a lot of improvement. I don't know if you've seen it, but we can tell it as your auditor. You know, we come flying in here out of Macon every year. We spend a few weeks out here doing all the work we do. And so I say that to you bringing great objectivity to what this is all about. We don't have a dog in the fight. We're not, trying to do anything other than just tell you the facts and nothing but the facts. And I just think, again, it's good for you to hear from us that we've seen such improvement that we have seen over the last few years. And I just wanted to just open up by saying that. When you look at your financial statements, and I know many of you just got those statements, they were filed on time with the state. Everything's taken care of. You're in good stead right now with all regulatory agencies. But when I look at your statements, I see a lot of good things. I see some growth. I see a lot more financial stability than there was a few years ago. When you look at the entity as a whole, and you look at the primary government, that you primarily the one governing, you all have just short of $400 million worth of assets. Now, that's not all cash, so let's don't go spend it. A lot of that's infrastructure, facilities, and all those kind of things. But you've got about $400 million in assets offset by about $100 million in liabilities. That gives you about a $300 million equity. Now, I don't know about you, but if I had a balance sheet that looked like that personally, I'd be pretty happy sitting there, you know, having that kind of strength and that kind of situation. At the same time, when you look at everything, when I say everything, I'm talking about beyond the general fund. I'm talking about SPLOST, everything that's included in your financial statements. If you rolled it all up into one big bucket, you all took in about $146 million worth of revenues this past year. You spent about $107. You grew your equity position by about $39 million. That was a tremendous change right there. There's a lot of things happening to make that happen. Part of what happened this past year was you did take in about $16 million worth of federal award money from the feds. That does not include your ARPA money. That's still about $11 million and yet to be recognized because at the end of the year, you had not, quote, earned it under the guidance that was out there at the time. So you've still got that in the wings waiting to be recognized, probably as we speak. It's being recognized this year. But as of June 30th, you had about $11 million worth of funds that had not been recognized as revenue, so it's not in the equity yet. So you did, what my point is, you did this without the ARPA money. You had a really good year. A lot of things happen here. I can tell when I drive into town, I can see the growth. I can feel the commerce going on. You are getting your share of it when you look at it that way. You've also got some component units that are captured under the big umbrella of things. Component units are things like the Newton County Water Authority. They had a good year. You look at all your component units, Board of Health and all those kind of things, you roll them all up, you all had about $31 million of revenues with about 21.5, about $22 million of expenses. So even your component units had a good year. They saw their equity position grow as well by about $9.5 million. So again, good things happening. When you look at the general fund, which of course is the heart and soul of this government, it's the heart and soul of any county or city government. When you look at the general fund, it had an outstanding year. And let me just also say, your general fund has had 5 really good years in a row. When we came on board 5 years ago, you had deficit spending going on. You had some fund balance issues. You had cash flow management issues. You were trying to make ends meet, you know, one day at a time. You know, you always heard the thing about us individuals, one step away, one paycheck away from bankruptcy. I'm not saying that's where you were, but you were tight back then. Now, you're in a good place. You've had 5 years where you've been able to add to the surplus. Adding to the surplus to the tune of about $35 million. When we first started doing the audit, you had a fund balance of $5 million. Now it's up to 40. Some people might say, well, does it need to be that high? I personally believe it does because of what I see, what I know is going on here. If you're going to continue to do all the initiatives that you have going, if you're going to still try to take care of the growth that is coming, you have to have a strong fund balance. If you were down in southwest Georgia, out in the middle of farm country, that hadn't seen growth in 50, 60, 70 years, you wouldn't need to have that kind of strength. You're in the Atlanta metropolitan area right now, and you've got a lot of things happening here. Fund balance is important, and I think what you've done in the last 5 years is quite commendable. So again, I want to say that to you. The general fund has about 7 months worth of fund balance, meaning if you close the door on July 1 and said we're not accepting any more revenue, you have about 7 months that you could get through. Again, some people might say, well, that sounds like a lot. Well, not when you consider property taxes come in seasonally. We want to keep our initiatives going during July, August, September, October, before all these funds start coming in the door. Think about that. When you get to about October, I bet your fund balance isn't as strong as it was at June 30th because it's been used, it's been depleted as you get through those leaner months. That's why it's important to have such a good fund balance at June 30th so you can get through those times, not to mention all the initiatives. Again, if you were flat, nothing happening, we weren't trying to do anything special, that's a whole different matter. Y'all have got a lot of things going on, and your fund balance is important. And again, I want to commend everyone in this room for making that happen over the last 5 years. This past year was exceptional. You heard me say that you've grown by $35 million in your fund balance. 17 of that happened this past year. 17. About half of the growth in fund balance in the last 5 years happened this past year. So that's quite good. Another thing I take note of that I'd like to share as a highlight to you is when I look at the budget to actual of your general fund. You all did a fine job this year. Your revenues came in much greater than what you had budgeted. Your expenses were less than budgeted. That's the right combination, would you not agree? You want to have your revenues come in higher than budgeted. You want your expenses to be lower than budgeted. That's a good combination, and you all had just that. So again, things are looking really good there. When I look at your proprietary operations, you've got some water. You've got the Newton County Water Authority, but then you've also got your own water fund operations over here. When you look at that, your solid waste, those kind of things, they actually had a very good year when it comes to managing the cash flows. When I say managing cash flows, those funds need to always create enough funding that they can reinvest in themselves. They can reinvest in putting in infrastructure. They've got to have those monies to do that. You don't want to be taking that from the general fund. And let me just go back in time. That's what used to happen here, is that the general fund would find itself subsidizing other funds to that degree. Right now, you've got some funds that are actually creating their own positive cash flows. That's another great thing. One thing I'll mention that I think we always need to just keep in mind that's important is when you look at your pension. And I know I brought this up to y'all a year ago. If anyone ever thinks that we've got too much money here, I can tell you where to put it. Put some of it in your pension plan. I'm not kidding when I say that. I mean, you're always tasked in the world of politics and accounting and all these things. You've got to figure out what the people want. I get that. And so you've always got to look at revenues and say, is it fair what we've got? Well, one thing is, before you ever start thinking about maybe we ought to taper it off or cut it back, throw some excess funds toward your pension plan, because right now it's about 65, 67% funded. I would like, personally, when I see good plans, they're usually around 85% funded. So you've got about, 18, 19, 20% lower than the average. And what that means to me is if you put that money there, you will not make it the next generation's problem to try to take care of funding. This is like Social Security. We've all heard our whole life. Everybody in this room's heard that Social Security might not be there when we get there, right? I'm getting closer to being there. I hope it's going to be there. But what we've always heard is that means that the next generation's going to have to bail it out. Well, I don't think you're at that point where it's going to have to be bailed out by the next generation, but I do think you would really do the next generation a real favor if we would bring up our funding of that. And again, easier said than done, but it's just something to think about. When you go on your retreats, you start thinking about what we could do, where we need to go. Look at that pension plan and see if that may need to get a little love. Again, it's not bad, but it's not one of the best of the best. And I think as you all grow and develop around here, that would be one of my aspirations if I were you, is to have one of the best plans for our people, plans for our community, that kind of thing. One other financial number I'll just mention. This gets lost a lot of times, but when you look at all your elected officials, your tax commissioner, your sheriff, clerk of courts, all those parties, they're budgeted to be, their funds are provided as expenses of the general fund, but what happens with the revenues that are being collected for other parties, like the Board of Education, like the city? The city gets tax revenues through the tax commissioner. I'm just using that as an example. So those monies flow in and out of Newton County's entirety of its books, okay? Just to let you know, those activities, if you roll them all up together, all those fiduciaries, again, we're talking sheriff, courts, tax commissioner, et cetera, they took in about $150 million this past year. Big operations that other local governments are really needing them to do it well, do it right, and a lot of money running through there. So it's turning out to be a pretty good sized government right here. It's a lot bigger than it was just a few years ago. And again, I think we can all see it, feel it, smell it. I mean, it's all there. You can see it out there. Every time I come up here, you can see the growth, and I could see it here too on your books. When looking at how things could get better, I'm happy to tell you we had no findings this year. Nothing that I had to slap somebody on the hand and say we had to write you up, that something was done wrong, something fell apart. We had none of that. We do have 3 recommendations, and that's all they are, is recommendations, okay? Do what you want with them, but we just like to let you know that there's some things there. All 3 of them have to do with your fiduciary, your custodial accounts, those elected officials. Again, we're talking about places like the clerk of court, the magistrate court, juvenile court, sheriff's offices. We had a few things there. Yeah, clerk of court again. Segregation of duties is something we want to make sure we always have in place. You know, I just don't want you to be in the headlines. You know, even $500 is going to hit the headline, and I'd rather you not have a $500 matter. You know, you get even bigger than that, start talking 20, 30,000. That's not material and significant to this county, but it's going to make the headlines quite big. I'd like to stay away from headlines. So I share with you, let's work on our segregation of duties. We've shared with Brittany and the finance department greater details of what I'm talking about so that you all can work with those offices to kind of work with those areas. Let's don't write checks and backdate them. Let's don't do those kind of things. That's not the right thing to do in the world of accounting. They've got a lot of old outstanding checks in those offices that we need to go ahead and just look at and deal with. You know, if they're outstanding that long, there's escheat laws in Georgia about having to turn those funds over to the state under the escheat laws. Let's do what we need to do to get it right. Let's take care of these things. They're not big things. They're little things. They're things that I think can easily be addressed for those who want to, okay? That's going to take cooperation by those elected officials, the Board of Commissioners office, everybody kind of work together to do so, but it's not big issues. It's things that could really be addressed quite easily. So that summarizes everything I wanted to share with you. I could probably keep going and going and going, but I'm a nerd accountant, and I know you all are not. So I'm going to stop right here and see if you've got any questions, anything that I prompted.
Any questions, guys? Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. C. Question I have, you talked a little bit about the pension plan for the county employees, and you said that we need to we possibly need to put more into that particular fund. So are you suggesting that we take some of the 37 million, maybe a couple million from the fund balance, the cash reserve, and put it in that, somewhat balance it out?
I'm saying that what I would do if I were in your shoes, and I'm not. Let's make that real clear, I'm not. I've got the easy job. I just can tell you my thoughts, and then you've got to deal with it. You've got to work all these agendas out. If I'm in your shoes as a county commissioner, I sit here and I want to get with my management and say, okay, what's our 5-year plan? What's our 10-year plan? What are we going to be looking like? What are our needs going to be? And if it ever looks like we might have more than we need, take that and put it in the pension plan. Take a look at it all and get with your investment advisors. Talk with them and see what we need to do. It takes a variety of things to be looking at. My point is a lot of times when I make these presentations, somebody sits there and says, it sounds like we got too much money. Not necessarily. It just may mean that you could put it in another place. But I don't think you ought to do that until you look at your 5 and 10-year plans of where you think the county's going to be from a regular operations standpoint. But that's where I'm coming from.
If I just could add just a little bit to it, I think there's something definitely we need to we need to look at, because our employees right now they're not on a defined benefit plan, and I think that as our workforce age, they would make young people may want to come on because they would have a future
right
in working for the county.
Yeah, let me make this real clear. I don't think there's any fear about is the plan going to be able to pay everybody. It's just going to require a greater funding by the general government in the future to make it all happen. You know, if you were a government that had 100% funding right now, you could sit here and say, okay, we're in a great place. We are right where we need to be based on the actuarial numbers that are out there. We're where we need to be. You're not quite there. So just keep giving that some thought as you look at all of the different things on your different agendas as to what the future might be.
Commissioner Cowell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Based on everything, are we eligible for any awards or recognition from the GFO, whatever it is?
You certainly will be recognized again. You've been getting the GFOA certificate for the last couple of years. That's a great thing. I'm glad you brought that up because that's something new to the county. That's something that was started when Nicole and Brittany got together a few years ago and said, let's go ahead and tackle this thing. Let's see if we can make it happen. And what this award is, the GFOA is the largest trade organization of governments in this world. It's made up mostly of entities, cities and counties and other governmental agencies out of the U.S. and Canada that are part of it. And they have a certificate program that if you want to raise the bar and do more than the minimum, then it takes a lot of work. But you can put this together and go above the minimum and submit it to them, and they will review it and determine if it is certificate worthy. And you all have been getting the certificate, and I think this is certainly going to do the same. So Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for being
If you
here.
ever have any questions, please look me up. I can run over here very quickly.
Thank you so much.
Thanks again.
Thank you. We're gonna go on down to the approval of minutes. I seek a motion that we approve the minutes, please. It's been motioned by Commissioner Edwards and second by Commissioner Cowan. Any discussion? All in favor? Commissioner Mason? Commissioner Mason?
I'm sorry, aye.
Commissioner Sanders?
Aye.
Thank you. It passes 5-0. Next, we have the consent agenda. I seek a motion of approval, please. Thank you, sir. Can I get a second, please? Second. It's been motioned by Commissioner Edwards and second by Commissioner Cowan. Any discussion? All in favor? Commissioner Mason?
Aye.
Commissioner Sanders?
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Judy, if you would you please come on up? Thank you.
Good evening, Chairman,
Good evening.
Commissioners.
You doing okay today?
I'm doing fine, and you?
I'm doing well. I'm taking it that you had a great day today.
It is a beautiful day in Newton County.
This is a beautiful day in Newton County. You're right. Thank you also. I know you and your department, y'all been extremely busy the last year, but thank you so much for all that you guys do. We do appreciate you and all that you do.
I appreciate that, Chairman, and if I could take just a moment to remind everyone that does hold a business license here in Newton County, that their business license, if they have not renewed, did expire on December 31st, and we would like for them to go ahead and be proactive and come in and get that new license if they're still in business.
Can you state that one more time?
That business license here for Newton County did expire on December 31st of last year, and that if they have not renewed and they're still in business, we would like for them to come on in and get their business license renewed.
And I think I'm gonna ask Brian to put a reminder on the website so that people will know also.
Yes, sir, and that allows the business to come in. The last thing we want to do is have to follow up with sending someone out to check the business. So if they would be proactive, we would be appreciative.
Thank you. Well, we did push the time to 7:30. We're pretty close here, so you can go ahead and get started.
Thank you so much. The first item on the agenda this evening is a conditional use permit. This is CUP 21-000009. The proposed use is an auto truck repair business with outdoor storage. The location is 3185 and 3195 Highway 212. Its current zoning is highway commercial. It is located in District 1, and the acreage is 2.17 acres, and the petitioner is Mr. Jamie Humphreys. Here is an aerial location of the property. You may remember that this property did come before this board last year. The history on the property: on March 16, 1993, Mr. Tony Allen sought a rezoning to develop the property located on the southwestern side of Georgia Highway 212, approximately 800 feet south of the intersection with Georgia Highway 162. The request was for it to be rezoned to CG, General Commercial, for the purpose of building and operating a daycare and future developments later. Approval was granted with conditions to the zoning designation of CH, Highway Commercial, and these two lots were part of that original rezoning case. On September 21st, 2021, This Board of Commissioners approved a request for a modification to remove condition number 4 that restricted or prohibited any outdoor storage for the same applicant, which allowed the applicant to follow up with this request this evening for outdoor storage associated with an auto repair business, which is before you this evening. On January the 25th, 2022, the Planning Commission did hear this proposal and recommended approval with staff's recommended conditions by a vote of 5-0. The applicant's intent, again, is to establish an auto repair business and that business be allowed 25% outdoor storage. Again, the subject site is a total of 2.17 acres, and it is located in an area surrounded by both commercial and residential properties. The site is currently undeveloped vacant land. Here is a map of the future land use for the property, which you can see it is in our MX, which is a mixed use and designated for potential development. Our existing zoning map shows these two parcels as being CH, Highway Commercial, and it is located in the Yellow River watershed. Conclusion, staff recommends approval of the conditional use request to establish an auto truck repair business with the ability to have 25% of the property designated for outdoor storage with staff's recommended conditions. Recommended conditions. Should this petition be approved by the Board of Commissioners, it should be approved for a conditional use permit to establish a auto truck repair business and to have 25% of the property designated for outdoor storage, subject to the owner's agreement to the following enumerated conditions. Where these conditions conflict with the stipulations and offerings contained in the letter of intent, these conditions shall supersede unless specifically stipulated by the Board of Commissioners. To the owner's agreement to abide by the following development standards and regulations. 1, all activities for auto truck repair business shall be carried on entirely within an enclosed building. 2, prior to the allowance of any outdoor storage on the property, the applicant will provide a plan showing the area in which the storage will occur to be approved by the Department of Development Services. 3, outdoor storage is limited to 25% of the total lot or 0.5424 acres of the 2.17 acre tract. 4, outdoor storage areas and refuse containers shall be screened and buffered as to not be visible from the public right-of-ways or abutting residentially zoned property. 5, record service, salvage, abandonment, recovery, or repossessions of automobiles and trucks and temporary storage of said vehicles is prohibited. 6, submit appropriate plans/plats, including a stormwater plan, to be reviewed and approved by the Department of Development Services, Public Works, Newton County Fire Department, Georgia Soil Water Conservation Commission, and the Newton County Water and Sewerage Authority. Again, here is an aerial view of the two properties. This is the survey plat of the property, and this is the applicant's site plan. As a note, this site plan at this time does not show the area where the outdoor storage would be, and again, a condition would require that to come back for approval before they move forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Judy, now this has been opened up for public hearing once, right?
It has been with the Planning Commission, and we will need to do that again this evening for our second and final hearing.
Okay, thank you. It's approximately 7:35. The applicant and those that want to speak in favor, you may come at this time. You have 10 minutes to do so. The applicant and those that are in favor, please state your name, your address for the record, please.
So actually, Judy, as of about 1:30 today, we actually own the property. So that's a done deal. So the conditional use permit is to allow us to have some overnight stores due to capacity issues, parts issues, things that may keep a vehicle overnight. I think we discussed this last time. And that is simply it. I won't take up a whole bunch of your time. Y'all seen me 3 times now, so I think you're pretty versed on what we got going on here. But thank you.
Thank you. Can you state your name one more time? Is it
Jamie Humphreys with Tire One Automotive.
all right? Thank you. Anyone else want to speak in favor tonight? Anyone else want to speak in favor tonight? That portion of our public hearing is closed. We also allow 10 minutes for those that want to oppose tonight. You may come at this time. Please state your name and your address for the record, please. Anyone want to oppose tonight? Anyone want to oppose tonight? Thank you. That portion is closed. Judy, if you would, please. Commissioner Edwards.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to approve conditional use permit CUP 21-000009 with
you, sir.
staff recommended conditions.
Thank you, sir. Can I get a second, please? Second. Thank you. It's been motioned by Commissioner Edwards and second by Commissioner Cowan. Any discussion? All in favor? Commissioner Mason? Commissioner Sanders? Thank you. It passes 5-0. Ms. Judy.
Yes, sir. The next item before you this evening is the future land use map amendment. This is FLU 21-000005. The property is located with the address of 55 Potts Lane. It is a 33.68 acre tract. It is currently zoned AR, agricultural residential, with its existing land use map for residential. They are requesting to change that future land use to AF, which is agricultural forestry, and this is also located in District 1, and the petitioner is Mr. Kenneth Batchelor, Jr. The applicant's intent is to designate a future land use to AF, agricultural forestry, in order to seek a rezoning to be able to establish a tree service / sawmill on the agricultural zoning district. The character area and policies of the future land use. Pursuant to the Newton County 2018 Comprehensive Plan, Community Agenda, the project site is located in the following character area and is correlated with the following appropriate land uses and policies. The character area is Stewart, which is a rural crossroad tied to preservation and conservation of its natural resources and agricultural heritage with mixed-use commercial. Appropriate land uses is agricultural, residential, mixed-use, commercial, parks and rec, and conservation. Conclusion. The 33.68 acre parcel currently is being used as single-family residential. The applicant is proposing to establish a tree service / sawmill business on the property. A tree service / sawmill business is currently allowed in M1 light industrial, M2 heavy industrial, or CG general commercial. It is also allowed in A agricultural zoning district with an approved conditional use permit. Pursuant to the Stewart appropriate land uses, AF agricultural forestry is an appropriate land use request. Should the board decide to approve this petition, staff is of the opinion that the future land use amendment may be appropriate for the area. I also want to make note that there are no conditions of zoning placed on future land use map amendments, as this is a planning tool for future requests. Should the request be approved and a petition filed for rezoning, then conditions of zoning would be applicable to a rezoning or a conditional use request. Here is an aerial location of the property. Here is the current zoning, which is AR agricultural residential. There is a component of CH highway commercial on this property as well. And here is the future land use, where it shows that the future land use map shows that it is prime for residential development. It is in the Yellow River watershed. And here is a survey map of the property, and again, this is located in District 1, and I'm here for any questions you may have.
This one has to be opened up as well, right?
Yes, sir, it will need to be open. This was heard at the Planning Commission. I did not type this into it's on your staff report. I did not type it into the PowerPoint, but it was heard at the Planning Commission, and they did recommend approval.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
It is approximately 7:41. We're going to open up now for our public hearing. The applicant and those that are in favor, you have 10 minutes tonight to come speak. If you would, please state your name, your address for the record, please. You have 10 minutes to do so.
Good evening. How are y'all doing?
Great. How you doing, sir?
Good, sir. My name's Kenneth Batchelor. I live at 55 Potts Lane. I'd like to get this land rezoned from AR to agricultural to where I could park my equipment on my land and operate a sawmill. I do land clearing and forestry mulching, tree service. I'd like to be able to operate a sawmill, and whenever you think of sawmill, it's not an industrial sawmill, I would say, with like a big round 4-foot blade on it. This is an electric sawmill with a 30 horsepower motor on it that can be towed behind your pickup truck. This isn't some big industrial plant. If anybody's got any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. I'd just like to be able to park my equipment on my land and use it as I intend.
Thank you, sir. Good. Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak in favor tonight? Would anyone else would like to speak in favor tonight? That portion of our public hearing is closed. We also allow 2 minutes for those that want to oppose tonight. You may come at this time. Please state your name, your address for the record, please. Anyone want to oppose tonight? Anyone want to oppose tonight? Thank you. Ms. Judy, if you would, come on back up. Commissioner Edwards.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, I'd like to ask the board to motion to approve FLU 21-000005 with staff recommendations.
And there would not be at this time on a future land use.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Second. Second.
Thank you, sir. It's been motioned by Commissioner Edwards and second by Commissioner Henderson. Any discussion? All in favor? Commissioner Mason? Commissioner Mason? Commissioner Sanders?
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Mason?
Mr. Chair, I don't even know when to come off mute, but aye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. It passes 5-0. Ms. Judy.
Yes, sir. The final petition before you this evening is a rezoning request. This is REZ 21-000010. The property is located at 3630 Highway 142 and is approximately 14.3 acres, with only a portion to be rezoned, which is 1.1 acres. It's the existing zoning on the parcel. It has dual zoning. I apologize. It has dual zoning on the property as it stands right now. There is a small portion that is zoned A, agricultural, and the majority of the parcel is zoned AR, agricultural residential. The request is to rezone the entire property to AR, agricultural residential. This is located in District 1, and the petitioner is Mr. Mark Patrick. The history. The applicant requested a final plat revision for the Newbern Meadows subdivision to have this lot subdivided into 2 lots, a 10.1 acre tract and a 4.2 acre tract. The Planning Commission approved the plat revision on November 16, 2021. One of the conditions was to rezone the portion that was zoned A to AR so that it would be in compliance with the zoning ordinance. The applicant's intent, if approved, would be to rezone that 1.1 acre portion to AR in order to subdivide the lot into 2 lots. The subject site and surrounding area. The subject site is part of the Newbern Meadows subdivision and is a 14.3 acre parcel located on the west side of Highway 142. The parcel currently has A zoning and AR zoning with 1 existing home. The minimum lot size for A is 10 acres. The intended driveway portion of the lot that is zoned A also did not meet the minimum requirements for for it to be a 10-acre tract. The extended driveway portion of the lot is zoned A and does not meet the required 10 acres, the minimum 10 acres. The original survey from 1999 does not show the current driveway off of Highway 142, which was part of the subdivision. Given the fact that the property is zoned A and in close proximity to existing zonings AR, agricultural residential, along with the applicant's proposed use of land, staff is of the opinion that the rezoning will bring the lot into compliance and be appropriate for this site. Recommended conditions. Should this petition be approved by the Board of Commissioners, it should be approved AR, agricultural residential, conditional, subject to the owner's agreement to the following enumerated conditions. Where these conditions conflict with the offerings and stipulations contained in the letter of intent, these conditions shall supersede unless specifically stipulated by the Board of Commissioners. 1, to the owner's agreement to abide by the following. A, any required permits must be obtained from the Department of Development Services before any construction or development on the property. B, the final plat revision must be completed as shown in the survey plat/concept plan submitted for the rezoning petition and approved by the Department of Development Services. Here is an aerial of the property, and as you can see, it fronts 2 roads. It has a very slim, narrow flag portion that comes out on Highway 142, and it also is at the end in the cul-de-sac of Newbern Meadows. The zoning map, as you can see here, that dark green is our A zoning, the agricultural, and the light green is agricultural residential. So what we're asking is that this be rezoned, that one slim flag portion of the lot, in order to make it agricultural residential so the entire lot has a similar zoning. Its future land use is residential, rural residential, and it is in the, don't have my glasses, so one moment. It is in the Little River watershed. This is a survey map of the property, and if you can see here, the flag portion of the lot comes, and there is an existing home off of that particular lot. There is a lake or a little pond in the middle. And if you'll look at that dark line that is about midway through the lot, that is where the new boundary would be. And again, you would have one 10-acre tract and then one 4.2 acre tract for a total of 2 tracts. Again, this is District 1, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. This is a unique one, I know.
Thank you much. We're gonna go ahead and open it up. It is
Thank you,
approximately 7:49. We're gonna open it up for the applicant and those that want to speak in favor tonight. You have 10 minutes to do so. If you would, please come at this time. State your name, your address for the record, please. The applicant and those that want to speak in favor tonight. The applicant and those that want to speak in favor tonight. Thank you. That portion of our public hearing is closed. We also allow 10 minutes for those that want to oppose tonight. You may come at this time. Please state your name and your address for the record, please. Anyone want to oppose tonight? Anyone would like to oppose tonight? Anyone would like to oppose tonight? Ms. Judy, if you would, please. Commissioner Edwards.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, I'd like a motion to approve REZ 21-000010.
Can I get a second, please? I'm sorry.
With staff conditions.
With staff conditions.
Thank you. Can I get a second, please? It's been motioned by Commissioner Edwards and second by Commissioner Cowan. Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you. Commissioner Mason? Thank you, sir. Commissioner Sanders? Thank you, ma'am. It passes 5-0. Thank you so much. While we're here, I'm gonna go ahead and do our alcohol license. I'm gonna use chairman's privilege to do so. Commissioner Edwards.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, I'd like to do perform the final reading for Gas Express LLC, 5485 Highway 81, Covington, Georgia, 30016. Applicant is Shams Naji, and that is in District 1. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Can I get a second, please? Second. It's been motioned by Commissioner Edwards and second by Commissioner Cowan. Any discussions? All in favor? Commissioner Mason? Aye. Thank you, sir. Commissioner Sanders? Thank you, ma'am. It passes 5-0. Next, we're going to go back to item number 10. Ms. Brittany, if you would, please come on up. Brittany, thank you so much for being here tonight. Thank you. We heard our audit tonight, and it's showing that you guys are doing an exceptional job. So thank you for leading our finance department.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Good evening. Hold on, she told me I need to turn the power on. How do I turn the power on? Okay, sorry. Good evening. Tonight, I will be presenting the January 2022 financials. January is our seventh month of the year, so that puts us around 58% through our budget year. And I will start with our general fund revenues. To date, we have brought in $42.2 million in our general fund revenues, which puts us at 54.46% of our revenues. And you can see in January, we did receive $17.8 million in our revenue, so we did receive our first big tax disbursement of the year. In our general fund expenditures, we are trending at 51.6% of our budget, which is $40.2 million, and that does put us trending lower than the 58, so that is a positive. So it looks like all of our department heads are monitoring their budget and staying within their approved budget. This graph shows our monthly expenditures throughout the year, and then the bottom shows our actuals to budget. And currently, at this point in the year, our revenues are $2 million over our expenditures, but as we continue through the year, that will change because we do have one more final big tax disbursement, and then most of our major revenues have come in for the year. Our enterprise funds, we have 3 enterprise funds, the Water Fund, the Solid Waste Fund, and the Gaithers Fund, and they are all currently operating in the green, with the Water Fund operating at a $1.7 million net income, the Solid Waste at 1.1 net income, and Gaithers at 73,000 net income. In our SPLOS, we have 2 active SPLOS. The 2011 SPLOS, we currently have $1,036,000 in there, and we have 1 project left to wrap up there, which is the historic jail. Our 2017 SPLOS, I cannot see how much money we have there because of the, hold on. Thank you. $15.4 million. And we last month we brought in $1.7 million in revenues, which is a high month because that's usually when Christmas shopping occurs. So we do see December usually always being higher than normal. So that puts us at around $18.6 million over what our original budgeted collections were. In our impact fee fund, we currently have a balance of $4 million. And that wraps up my presentation, so I'm happy to take any questions that you have.
Thank you so much, Brittany. Any questions, guys? Commissioner Cowan?
Thank you, Brittany. Great job on the financials, by the way. I just got a quick question. Who is our pension plan with?
ACCG.
Okay. But not every employee is covered under that.
It's only employees hired prior to 96 currently.
Okay. Is there a desire on the Board of the Commissioners to look at what it would take to add people to that?
There is a desire. We actually are working on something to present to the board as we
Okay.
speak. So, hopefully we'll have something, to present to the board around budget time.
Okay. I'd like to see them all under that defined benefit plan if possible.
We would too, and the employees would too. You know, it speaks to employee retention, especially
Right.
in the sheriff department, the fire department. You know, we lose people left and right, go to other places where they have that pension plan like that. So that is something we're definitely looking at, and HR is working hard with it along with Brittany. And that's
Okay.
something we'll present to the board pretty soon here.
Okay. Thank you, Brittany.
Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. C. You know, I would like to see for once, hopefully more than we just talking a little bit about it, actually making it happen. Because I've seen too many of our employees leave and go to another county or to a city or to the city of Covington because we don't have a better pension plan. And, you know, and we should go back to the defined benefit plan. I think that's right.
Thank you. Thank you, Brittany.
Thank you.
All right. Commissioner Edwards. Huh? Oh, well, I'm sorry. Citizen comments. I'm sorry. I'm trying to speed out of here. Commissioner, citizen comments. This is an opportunity we allow citizens to come up and make comments. You can do it at this time. Please state your name, your address for the record, please. You have 3 minutes to do so. Citizen comments. Citizen comments. Commissioner Edwards.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to, I think Commissioner Henderson and Commissioner Cowan have already kind of hit on the pension, funding the pension, and I believe our auditor mentioned that we were around, I believe he said we were funding it around 67%. He would like to see us at 85%. A strong position would be 85%. So I'm with my fellow commissioners on funding that properly and funding that efficiently.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I want to say I'm just very pleased at where we are in terms of the overall audit and our position, and no findings. So, a couple of concerns, but no findings. So, I would encourage the board to keep up that good work. That has not been an easy task the last 5 years. I know several of us have been part of that. All of us have been part of that. So, I would encourage us to keep up that same type effort. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Mason.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. I just wanted to take this opportunity to just talk briefly about some of the things that's going on here in Washington, D.C. Here at the National Association of Counties Legislative Conference. I got an opportunity as the Vice Chair of the Community Economic and Workforce Development. We were able to pass as a steering committee 4 resolutions that we're going to put to our U.S. Congress. One of them has to do with getting more housing with our minority community to increase that gap where 40% of our minorities are at own homes, 70% of our non-minorities don't own homes. So one of the resolutions that we passed is to really figure out a way to actually close that wealth gap for local communities where home ownership is actually important in our community. I also got an opportunity to moderate an actual panel, which was a phenomenal experience to be able to do that. We were really talking COVID-19 impacted our communities and really changed how we do things as a community, and to really give local elected officials strategic ways on how to really utilize COVID-19 and not use it as a hindrance, but as a way to redo things, re-strategize, and really help take our community to another level. So use it as a catapult to really help move our community into a positive direction. I also got an opportunity to attend a housing informational, which was really great, looking at ways on how we can offer other ways of housing, affordable housing within our community. We know that there's not a lot of affordable housing, and we have several companies coming to our community. So we want to make sure that those individuals that are working in our community, they're also able to live, work, and play within our community as well. So really looking at that. Also, I went to an informational over the ARPA funds, the American Rescue Plan Act, a lot of great information going over that final rule, and all the things that we can really utilize these funds to really help take our community to another level. So we got some additional information about that. We also got an opportunity today to go over to the Capitol and meet with Senator Ossoff, and to really be able to ask questions as elected officials on how we can really find grant dollars and financial resources to really help our community. For example, I started a unsheltered job and housing initiative last year that I'm really pushing for those underemployed, unemployed, unsheltered. How can we find money to really help our unsheltered community? And there were several other questions asked. So we really want to really work on getting our grant writer in place. I know it's in our budget. Get our grant writer in place, and let's really go out and begin to find these grant dollars where we can bring them back into our community to really help elevate and take our community to the next level. So it has been a phenomenal at this time, and so I'm just glad that I was able to be here. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Sanders.
Thank you so much. First, I want to thank the communication team. Thank you, Brian, for allowing us to be able to be here, and as well as you representing the county and Washington. Thank you so much for that. I just want to inform everybody about February 20th, for the Black History Parade. If you're interested in attending that Black History Parade or being a part of it, please go to GeorgiaJuneteenth.com to register the committee to be in the parade. As for information
Thank you, Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, last week at Nelson Heights, we did a COVID testing, and I, you know, I don't get an update as far as how many people in Newton County who have passed from COVID-19. But I tell you, my understanding was about 13 people died. Stop putting your mask down. Start taking care of ourselves. Because if you don't take care of yourself, who will? Make sure that you don't have COVID-19 and pass it on to your loved ones, you know, because you could lose a member of your family. Homelessness. Over at Grace Church, I mean, I've been over there. I think I even did a Facebook post on it. There are people who are homeless in our community. And we need to do something more than what we're doing. At the end of March, they're going to be put back out on the street. We need to do better. We need to do better. And it seems like nobody's standing up for the person who really are in need. And they're out in the woods. They're over at Turner Lake. They're over there on 278. They're just about everywhere that you look. They have taken boxes of food to a person that called me, and it'd be so many of them come out and be wanting food. We need to try and do better. We can do better. I know we can. And let's do something now. I think you can spend some of the Austin Fund helping people. You could fix up our cousin cafeteria, old cafeteria, and have a warming shelter, have a temporary shelter until we figure out how to address that problem. Thank you, Mr. C.
Thank you. Commissioner Cowan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to congratulate Brittany and the Finance Department for such a good job on the financial report. Y'all remember about 5 years ago we were broke, and I think it's indicative that we've toed the line on some tough decisions. We've not always agreed on things, but in the long run, we've come out on top. So the county's in good financial shape. And when we took this job, I know when Stan and I did, we were elected to solve problems. And I think we've been working on that. So one problem's out of the way. I think our finances are in good shape, and we've got to continue that. Do want to mention that we are working again on the Spring Hill Park project. We've had it's District 5 right now, JC. So, well, it's District 5 right now. We're still working on that, and the we've got a site, well, not necessarily a site plan, but just a rendering of the possibility of what that area would look like. We still got some work to do, and we've got to figure out some more funding for it, because the past board and the SPLOST committees did not give us enough. They basically didn't give us enough money to get the grading done. So we're working on that. So we're going to have another meeting. It'll probably be after probably the second week of March, I believe, is before I can get we can have another meeting. But we are putting together a email list and everything for that group, and a call list of people in that community out there, so that we can make sure everybody's fully notified of what's going on out there. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Again, Brittany, we thank you and your staff, your team. You guys did an excellent job in the finance department. The board have dealt with some difficult things and had to make some difficult decisions, but I am so grateful that we did. It's put us in a great place. And we are looking forward to presenting 2 plans to the board, 2 pension plans, different plans from different people. Again, our employees need it, and so we're definitely going to present it and present it to this board. Guys, nothing else. I think a motion that we adjourn. Commissioner Mason.
Aye.
Commissioner Sanders.
Nay,
All in favor? Stand adjourned. Thank you so much, guys.